Yeah, I feel great. I know that I had to continue to like rehab it and just get comfortable being back to myself. But it's good. It's good being back on the field with the guys, and it's tough. Being in there while they're at practice, and me trying to get it back. But I feel good, and it just feels good. It's a blessing to be back.
Was it something that was kind of lingering from the season, or did it happen maybe after the season, or?
Yeah, it was kind of lingering from the season, but I was training on it like the whole time, and I was like going hard, and it was something that like I felt, but didn't like really feel like too bad. So when I got back to the trainers, and I was like the first 2 weeks of OTAs, I was in the workouts and everything like rolling, and then I was like, let me try to check this out, and so that's when we found that out, and then I was like, all right, well then let me just try to get back to 100%, and then that's what I did. So it's good to be back.
Was it like a sprain or like?
Yeah, like a light sprain, but it was just like a kind of feeling like weird, like on the side. So I was just trying to like make sure I don't feel it at all before I come back, and that's what we all agreed on by the time I got back today.
Where are you now, like on a scale of 1 to 100, like 80%, 60%?
Well, like physically, like I'm great. I'm close to 100, but just trying to get my like breathing back. Obviously, it was good to do everything today, but just trying to get back to like that football shape is what I'm trying to get to right now.
What from the start of training camp, OTAs until now, what were your personal expectations and your goals going into OTAs?
Can you say that one more time?
So what were your personal expectations and goals going into OTAs?
Yeah, just leadership, really. Me still being a young guy, but understanding that me just trying to be a great leader for these guys, and new guys coming in, and for what we did last year, it was good to have the leaders that we already do have with Jesse, Grady. Obviously Kirk and Drake, Kyle, like everybody there. So it's for me, not being on the field, I was trying to be a good leader off the field and helping out the young guys and helping everybody get back to their form. So now that I'm out there today and continuing that leadership and still just leading by example is what I liked about today.
What have your first impressions of Kirk Cousins been?
Yeah, obviously he's been in the league for a long time, so he already established everything that he's done. But I think here, obviously he brings that leadership, but the cool thing with him is like having a quarterback that studies so much, and I saw his like little like play sheet that he has and his spot sheet, and like him throwing into different spots, and he throws them into those kind of spots in practice. I'm like, that's kind of crazy. So just having a guy that obviously can sling the ball, but is really particular on what he does and the little details, and even when me and him just work, how he wants me to run certain routes and how he wants me to get open is always great information. So like having a guy like that who's already in my opinion, a top 10 quarterback, but having a guy to go out there and really show it's been fun to have him.
What have you taken away from those conversations when he pulls you aside and you guys are going over certain things that he wants you to do?
Yeah, the thing I like about him is like, he's not trying to take away the gifts that God given us players. Like, it's little snippets here and there, and he's like, just do what you do, but we can do it like this or try doing it like this and seeing how it goes, and having him tell me those kind of things, like I don't think I've really had somebody like really like sit down and tell me what to do and how to do it, because I'm already like trying to outsmart everybody. But really listening to him and really just taking all the information and feedback that he has for me, I take that serious, and I really appreciate him for that.
I can tell that you're really excited just talking about working with a guy like Kirk Cousins. When did you start to feel that excitement, like, hey, he's here, he can make me better, and we can work well together?
Yeah, it was the first couple weeks of OTAs, when I was still on the field, and we weren't in team stuff yet, but it was like us going out as an offense, doing all the plays and, going full speed reps. Like when I saw him, get me the ball in different ways, I was like, man, this dude he's legit. So I think obviously he's doing it now, but I knew back when we were, when I was still out there running with offense and getting everything comfortable.
Bijan, so much is made about quarterback development and chemistry with his wide receivers. You're used in so many different ways. How do you go about, collaborating and developing that chemistry when you're threat out of the backfield in the ground game? How does that work with Kirk?
Yeah, it's the same thing. So having the chemistry with the receivers, and like what I said, like me and him having chemistry because what Zach does with me is similar to last year. So, and it's good to have somebody like him who can dish it to everybody. But we had to build that chemistry. Obviously, I couldn't do it for the past like 3-4 weeks. But now that we're out there and now that he's getting me the ball in certain spots, I think it's going to be fun to watch. And even just all the other guys out there that can get open and that has that kind of access, it just opens it up for me, for myself, for all the running backs, and just for them as well.
I know last year was so much of a learning stage for you, but this year, now that you've had a year in working with Kirk, like, have you gone to Zach or Kirk and said, hey, let's try this, or collaborate on any, like, how much have you done with that?
Yes,
if you want to share, please do.
I've done it a lot. Me and Zach talk every day just about these kind of routes, and how we can get open on some different things, or how we can use the scheme to just affect a linebacker, DB, a safety. But we talk every day, man, and it's good to have communication like that. Obviously, because last year, like I was trying to learn everything and get everything down for what the offense was already. But this year, with the new offense and how to install with that, and how I can ask questions now, and how we can come to agreements, it's been really fun to be a part of that.
You do feel comfortable going to them and saying, hey, let's try this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Kyle just called him. Kyle just called Kirk super dad. How does that dad energy feel?
No, it's really crazy though. Like me and Kirk, we're right next to each other in the locker room. So like, I'll say a story. Like one time I was like, bro, we were saying something that, he's done in like back in the day, how I say it, and I was like, bro, like I was born in 2002, and he was like, bruh, like I was in like 7th grade. I was like, yeah, bro. I was like, you're, I think Kirk is old enough to be my dad, like real talk. But I love that dude, man. We always joke around with him. Like I always joke with him, and he takes it, so good and so easy. So, that's the fun of it. Like when you have a guy that's right next to you that can have fun and take all the jokes and still like be focused on the field. It's always good to have somebody like that.
He's always been injecting his personality into the play calling. What have you seen as far as that with Kirk?
Yeah, I mean, same. I mean, with Kirk, like when he calls a play, it's so clear, and you can hear everything that he's saying in the play. But I think the good thing with him is like, if he does make a mistake, like he owns up to that mistake, and he'll call everybody back, and we'll readjust and reconvene, and then we'll just go out there and just execute the play again. So he's that particular in like what he does and how he calls plays, how he throws the ball, how he tries to angle everything, even how he hands off the ball. Like he'll always ask me like, was that good? Like, was it good enough? So having a guy that's like that is the difference maker for what we got.
Is the run game in this scheme going to be noticeably different? I mean, the Falcons were one of the highest usage, I think, of the wide zone last year. Do you still expect to be running that a lot, or are there differences? How would you kind of describe this scheme?
Yeah. I mean, still run the wide zone, but there's so many other run schemes that we have now that I love and that I ran in college, and that I can't wait to run. We're good on like getting him off the wide zone and then going to something else and going back to it. Like I think there's so much that we can do with that and that we are doing with that, and that's what makes your run game so elite when you have a lot of different things that you can do and a lot of different options with the run game. And that's what we're doing.
And last year we talked so much about you talked about how much they wanted to use you in all these different ways. Have you had conversations about paring that back at all and just kind of using you more as a runner, or are you still expected to do a lot of the things that was kind of put on your plate last year?
Yeah, so I'm going to be more of a runner that does everything else. Like not as much, but I don't know what the plan is, but like it's like run nerve first, like I did in college, and then still having that access to go to receivers, still having the access to do creative things out the backfield. More so like how they use Christian down there in San Francisco, like something like that. So that's kind of what like the plan is here.
Yeah, Bijan. How's your off season been, and how was it like getting back out there today after I guess it was ankle, right?
Yeah. It's been good. Obviously, like I haven't been out there with the guy, so it was kind of sometimes it was kind of frustrating. But for me, I just know that everything's in God's plan, and God has a plan for me to do everything. So now me being back out there with the guys and feeling really good, it was a great feeling, and I didn't really hold nothing back either. So I was just full go, and felt great. And so it's good to get out there and be with the teammates again and have fun out there. But yeah, these past 4 weeks it's been a process. But now to be back with the team, especially for this last week, it feels really good. Left. Yeah.
Thanks, y'all.
Yep. All right, y'all. Yeah. Thank y'all.